Friends, thank you so much for checking out this video. Appreciate it as always. Today, I'm here with my friend Nathan Jones from specifically Blu-rays with Nathan Jones. How you
Yes,
doing, man?
I'm doing good. I changed the name. I changed it not that long ago. I don't know how long ago it was, maybe a year. I don't know how long things pass, but I'm doing well. How are you, John?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, when you changed the name, I wrote it down because I wanted to make sure I said it exactly right, because it has changed. Yeah, man, I'm doing good, and I'm excited to talk Criterion with you. We're in the middle of this Barnes and Noble sale, and for those of you watching and you've seen an episode of The Five before, this is an episode of The Five. Nathan and I already got to do one of those episodes, a longer episode, and you should check that out. It was a lot of fun. But this will be a mini version of that. It'll be Criterion focused and same five questions pretty much. But yeah, only five films. So I'm excited to see what your polls are, man, because I know you have an impressive Criterion collection, and I love watching your Criterion content. So yes, and I love visually how you organize it, but internally I couldn't physically do it.
Yeah, no, a lot of people they're like, I like that, but I can't do that. That's immediately what a lot of people say.
Yeah,
So,
I want to. I was talking to Tim Talks Talkies last night. My if I mine are all alphabetical, and I originally had all my Criterion in the full collection in the and I've since pulled it out, and so they have their own shelves now. But my dream world is to have mine organized by year to just see like the evolution of film and as
yeah,
it goes.
I like that. I like that a lot.
But like with like a Karate Kid box set, like I don't want to break up the box set, so I can't put them in the years, or like the Rocky box set, so I can't do it. But
It's
someday.
hard to break down the collections, but I do like that idea. Seeing it by year, I mean that would be an impressive, and that'd probably be a really hard endeavor to do. So more power to you.
And it would be difficult going, was that year from the, or that film from the 30s, or is it from the 40s? Or so it's probably not helpful, but I think it'd be fun to look at. I may do it one day, take a picture of it, and then put it all back.
And I'll
So
do it too. If you do it, I'll do it. So let's do it.
that's how we all get each other in trouble, because we also go, hey man, yeah, let's do 10 titles for the Criterion sale. You know what? Let's do 12 titles. If you do it, I'll do it.
Yeah, if anyone's watching this now and they're like, hey, that sounds interesting, just go buy it. That's what we're here for. So,
I should put a disclaimer on the bottom. Please do not take financial advice from anyone in the Bluetooth community.
that's
So
true. No.
yeah, because you'll just end up with a lot of movies is what you're going to do. So
Mm-hmm.
well, cool, man. Well, before we dive in, I have two questions for you. One, from our episode of The Five, one of the things I enjoyed so much that was different than all of the other episodes was that you and I got to talk basketball, and nobody talks basketball with me. So quickly, I'm a Celtics guy. You're a Pacers guy. How do you feel about this season with the Pacers? What kind of season are you hoping it will be?
I'm really excited. There's actually a game going on right now, and it's against the New Orleans Pelicans, and they're a really good team this year as well. But the Pacers, we're in a full rebuild mode. We got a really great rookie in Benedict Mathurin. I really love him, and then also that trade with Brogdon to your team
Yeah.
got us Nimhard, who's really great. And honestly, yeah, I like seeing the development of all of our young core. And there might be a trade down the line. There's always been that question with Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, so we'll see if that ever happens. But honestly, I'm excited for the future, and it's going to be, even if we don't finish very well, even though we're starting off pretty decently. I'm excited for the ride because it's going to be exciting basketball.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I was curious going into the season who was going to just like bail in the season with those that rookie. There one rookie in particular who's coming up, who people are going nuts over. So I'm interested to see who, just essentially just destroys their season for those rookies. But
well, if we know based on past drafts, I think the Magic probably have a really good chance on that one.
And they're exciting this year too.
Yeah.
They're really fun. They're losing every single game almost, but they're exciting.
Fun. Yeah, exactly. That's what the thing is. Like the exciting teams are the ones that are at the bottom. No, yeah.
Nice. And then the last one is Criterion related before we jump into the five. We all have Criterion wish list if you're a Criterion fan. What's near the top for you? Like, hey, in this sale, what's one that you're like, I really want to pick this one up during the sale?
Well, I didn't pick it up, and I don't plan on picking it up, but I would like to if I had the extra money because I've already spent what I want to for this. But I would love to get the Martin Scorsese World Cinema box set volume 4. I think I don't even have volume 3. Maybe I need to get 3 and 4.
Okay.
I need I need to check what I have. So I think it's 4. Yeah, it's 4. I need to get 4.
Cool.
I looked over there.
Nice.
I'm like, there's 3 right over there. What about you?
Well, for me, so you and I have talked about this before. I'm a big fan of the 30s and 40s. So, yeah, like, so on my list, like the Lady Eve, I don't have, My Man Godfrey, and Now Voyager, and are for sure, but I'm expanding. And the first two I actually did pick up, already, is My Dinner with Andre and Buck and the Preacher. So I've got out of the 30s and 40s. I've never seen either of those two films, but intrigued by both of them.
High level on My Dinner with Andre. Yeah, that's one of my favorite films in the collection.
Cool.
So I highly recommend it. So I think you're gonna like it. So
That's one of the Christmas gifts that I'll get to actually see in 2 months.
nice, a nice Christmas dinner with Andre
Yes,
later
yes.
on.
So yeah, and then after watching a video today, I did add The Gunfighter to the list as well. So
Gregory Peck, very good movie.
yeah, man. So that's the list, and we'll see which ones actually I pick up. Two of them I picked up. I wouldn't mind picking up two, maybe three more. So
The month is young.
and as we've already learned from this video, yeah, just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, just go ahead and do it, everyone. Come on now.
I really am going to put a disclaimer on this video. So cool, man. Well, those are my two questions for you. Now I have a blank piece of paper to write down all the titles you're going to mention to ruin my financial situation by adding more to the list. So, yes. All right, man. First question for you is, what Criterion film have you most recently seen?
My most recent watch is actually about a month ago now. It's been a second because I've just kind of been all over the place with a lot of my labels and like my standard Blu-rays. Because it was, we just got out of October, so I've been watching a lot of scary movies. So one of the movies I watched was The Cremator right here. This one is from 1969, and I will not try to pronounce this director's name, but it is a Czech New Wave film from like 69. But this movie is actually oddly, it's like a horror film, but it's a comedy. It's like a black comedy of sorts, in a very dark way. If anyone has seen this movie, this is a very interesting thing. Obviously, it's about a cremator. And this is during like the 1930s in the Czech, like I said, the Czech Republic, and then also kind of seeing that region, kind of seeing Nazism on the rise, and that's kind of taking hold of him, and he's just a little bit crazy in that instance, and then things kind of unfold from there, and it just goes in all crazy directions. But one of the reasons why I love this movie so much is that the camera work and the performances are just absolutely, just crazy. I have not seen camera work like this before. There's just insane close-ups, kind of transitions from, animals to people to close-ups of, the man himself in here, our main protagonist. We don't really know how he is, how he is. He's a bad guy, not a good guy. But regardless, it's a fun movie. Like I said, it's comedy and it's drama, but it's really dark.
Okay.
It's one of the weirdest movies I would ever bring up to somebody, say like, yeah, I should watch this. I'm like, well, I don't know I would describe. It's a movie you have to watch to understand.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, Great Mirrors is my most recent watch, but it's definitely a recommendation though. But not for the faint of heart. It's pretty trippy. So
is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. Second question for you is, what is the first Criterion film either you watched or maybe you remember buying?
Yeah, I have two answers to that because you had the or there. I do remember the first one I ever bought was Seven Samurai right here.
Cool.
Number 2 in the Spine collection. This is a high recommend if anyone hasn't already picked this one up. But this is from 1954 from Akira Kurosawa. It's the quintessential samurai film. It's definitely like a Western if you've never seen any type of samurai film, but in the East. But it definitely, John Ford has a little bit of an imprint on Kurosawa, and then it's funny because Kurosawa would imprint like George Lucas, Sergio Leone, etc. Right? It's this nice passing of the torch. But Seven Samurai is just an incredible epic. I mean, it's 207 minutes, so it's like 3.5 hours long, but like it flies so well, and it's shot in black and white. There's a fantastic score, fantastic cast. You fall in love with these characters, and like the reason these seven samurai are just trying to defend a village from bandits that they hired, and this is a very poor village, and so they're really not being able to pay them much. But it's just a really simple kind of plot that has such richness to it, and it's definitely one of the best films of all time. That's the reason why it's number 2 in the collection. Cool. I mean, so I picked this one up. That's my first Criterion I got. And to answer like the first Criterion I ever watched, I didn't know it was on Criterion, but I just recently talked about this on a video of my channel. But The Seventh Seal, I watched this back in kind of high school. Is like high school time period into college, that transition. And it was one of my teachers who showed me The Seventh Seal in class. And this is another classic film. This is from 1957, directed by Ingmar Bergman, another fantastic director. Right above my head is his box set, which is an incredible box set. I highly recommend that. But I've had this one in my collection for a very long time because, like I said, it was one of the first Criterions I've ever watched. And it's an incredible film about the time we don't have and the time we do have on this earth. Once again, just like I was talking about with the Cremator, there's a lot of mixed bag of like there's a lot of drama going on. There's comedy. It's up and down, up and down. It's a fun film, but it's also a depressing film. But I definitely would highly recommend Seventh Seal as well. Even though Seven Samurai and The Seventh Seal both have 7 in the name, so I didn't realize that until just now.
Seventh Seal is one that I had on my list that I removed a couple of months ago, and yeah, you just maybe put it back on. So
good.
I'm at 7.
It's a very good movie.
Yeah, it's one I have not seen, and I need to see it. So it's on there, man. These conversations are gonna kill me. Third question for you: what Criterion film has had the greatest impact on you? It can be emotionally, worldview, life perspective.
This was the most difficult question that you asked,
okay.
By the way. For me, it's hard to say because like I have the 4 trilogy behind me. I have the Comfort trilogy behind me. But the one that I have to think about, like just that emotionally wrecks me every time I watch it, but also like makes me feel human every single time I see it, is Pan's Labyrinth from 2006. I just can't stop talking about this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. This movie is set in the Spanish Civil War, and it is about this little girl who is caught up in it, and she escapes into kind of just her imagination, or is it really imagination? You don't really know. And then you have Del Toro's world building going on alongside it, and like I said, the realism of the Spanish Civil War that's actually happening outside. That is in it's like the historical fiction that keeps jumping in and out, and I love that aspect of it. And I also just, like I said, you feel the humanity involved with Ophelia, who is the main character, and you feel with all the characters in it and what we can do to escape kind of trauma in a way. And I think that's what Del Toro really does really, really well in this movie. And I just highly recommend checking this movie out if you've not seen it. And it's also, I think it was one of the first like subtitled films that I watched that really just clicked with me. And I know some people might not like subtitles, but this is definitely one of the ones that I would recommend. Like if you need to start somewhere, Pan's Labyrinth is a good one to start. So,
and is it one of those films for you? I haven't seen it where you watch it in subtitles, and so you're familiar with it after watching it the first time, and then when you watch it on all subsequent viewings of it, that you get more out of it because you already know the dialogue and you're not as focused on the text?
Yeah, no, I definitely pay more attention to the nonverbals, the way, because obviously if we're not speaking that language, our eyes are kind of doing this weird dance where we're looking at the words and trying to look at the image at the same time. So with this movie in particular, I definitely like pay more attention to the images now that I've seen it as much as I have. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, great movie. Seen it a
Cool.
million times, more than any of the other films I'm going to talk about today. Probably,
Nice. That's
probably.
probably awesome. Next question for you. What Criterion film do you consider? I would say none of them on the collection are probably underrated because they're on the label, but maybe one that you think we just don't talk enough about. If you're like me, I know you watch a ton of videos on Criterion hauls and recommendations. What's one that you'd say you don't hear many people talk about that you think deserves a little more attention?
Yeah, another one that was difficult to kind of come together with, but I think I landed on a pretty good one. So this movie is from 2013. It is The Great Beauty right here. It's an Italian film,
Hmm.
and it's about this rich mogul right there. You can see in Italy. It's this nice little box set. Around the 700s and the spy numbers, a lot of their releases started coming in paper, like these kind of paper back things, and this is one of the ones that I think is a true gem of it. And it's about, like I said, this rich guy who kind of has like a not a midlife crisis, but of into life crisis where all of the luxury and the fame and being around all these parties and people that are very fake in these relationships he doesn't really have just start like really clicking with him and being like, wow, what have I been doing, with my life? And so this movie is like almost like a nod to Fellini right
Okay.
here. So if anyone is familiar with his work, this would be like a modern type of Fellini film, and it really does showcase kind of that reflectiveness of somebody who's kind of feels like they've wasted their life. And I really love the interactions in this movie. It's comedic, but it's also like life affirming and like in ways that a lot of people it's hard to describe. A lot of these movies are just really hard to describe, but I think The Great Beauty is a lot of fun. It has a really great score too. It has a very European feel to it. Obviously, it's an Italian film, so it's got a really great sensibility to it. But I think it knows itself pretty well, and it's nice, and it kind of it has a flux between these moments of when you jump into the story and when you can jump out a little bit and have a little bit more fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's directed by Paulo Sorrentino, and yeah, and is starring Tony Serveo, and he's incredible in it as our main character. But highly recommend The Great Beauty.
And what year is that one from?
2013, so not that
2013.
long ago.
Wow, I've never heard of that film.
Yeah, it's a good one.
This is great. And the last question for you is what film, Criterion film, brings you the most joy, hope, laughter, puts a smile on your face?
So this is the one I have to have break into two parts. I'll go ahead and start off with the one that like is a more of a recent discovery of mine that like I want to rewatch more and more. I've only seen it twice, but I've enjoyed it since. And it's 1959's Good Morning by Yasujiro Ozu. And just like I talked about Kurosawa earlier, Ozu's another classic example of Japanese cinema. And this came out in 1959. I don't know if I said that, but this is about just two little boys who won a TV in the 50s and post World War II Japan. And so they're living, this weird transitional life from that time period of the Cold War, plus, post atomic bomb, and then living in this weird suburb life, right, where you're surrounded by a bunch of people, your neighbors and stuff. And yeah, it's a weird thing. And then all I have to say is like farts are a part of this movie a lot. I know you're laughing because I think you've seen this one, haven't
Yeah.
you? Yeah, it's so much fun, and it really just brings a lot of joy. This is like one of those life affirming movies that I think a lot. I think everyone should see this movie. So
Mhm.
it's great.
Great
So
pick, man.
but the other one that like brings me the most joy is because I this one combats the Pan's Labyrinth the most with the movie I've seen the most, and a lot of people have seen this movie. I hope everyone has seen this movie, but it's The Princess Bride. This, I mean, come on, This is like one of the best fairy tale movies of all time. It has literally every genre in it of of storytelling, from drama to horror, and to comedy and romance. And I don't know, it's just got all these really wonderful characters, really memorable lines, really memorable performances. It's literally just got pure joy written all over it. And I don't trust people who don't like The Princess Bride. So
That's a bold statement.
it is, but I mean, it's a true statement.
Well, this is the deal. If I would say a few months ago, I'm glad I didn't know this about you. So when I was in college in the student center, that movie was played nonstop. It was on repeat, like for maybe my first 2 years, and I hated it. It was just on constantly. So I've avoided that thing for over 20 years. And I recently bought it on Blu-ray. It wasn't a Criterion release of it, but I saw it. I was thrifting, saw it on Blu-ray, and I was like, you know what? I'm ready. It took me 20 years, but I'm back at it. I'm ready for it. And so I'm excited to show my daughter and to watch it with her. So
Yeah,
I'm glad we can be friends still. But yeah, if I'd known
we're
a
still
couple
good.
months ago,
No, I mean, you bring up a good point though. There's several movies that I've seen way too much, and I just don't want to see again anytime.
sure.
So I think everyone probably has those movies. So although unfortunately, I wish it wasn't that one. So
Well, and that release, just like the actual physical
oh
release,
yeah,
is really beautiful.
yeah, it's a book, people. So it's literally set up like a book.
That's so great.
Yeah, it's great. Although I will say, watch out for the little, like, usually
Oh
it has like a
yeah.
back with it, because it took out the U a little
Gee.
bit, so as you can kind of tell, it's a little faded, but it's cool though too. It's a cool effect because it's like an old storybook. I feel like I've been using it. I've been reading it a
Hey,
lot.
there you go. That's true.
I don't mind doing that. So
That's great. Well, Nathan, these are awesome picks, man, and I appreciate you sharing them.
well, I'm glad that I was able to share, and thank you so much for asking for me to come on the show. And honestly, I want to ask you those questions too, but I don't know if you're saving that for later.
I'm not saving it for later. I KB, he messaged me because I had done 19 episodes of the five, and then he messaged me and said, I have an idea for the 20th episode. It should be you answering all of these questions. And I started laughing. I told my wife, and we both had a really good laugh about it. We're like, oh, that would be fun. And then so we did it, and it was way more stressful having to answer the questions. I usually just sit back and listen and write notes and stuff like that. So yeah, so it was a lot of fun. And KB's great.
Okay.
So
Yeah, KB is great. I just saw him physically. He's a cool person. Um, but I will fight back with you on one. When we were talking about the one that brings you the most joy, what would you say is the one that you would pick if you had to choose a criterion that brings you the most joy?
oh boy. I'm just flipping through. I have a list of my Criterion films because I'm a nerd. Um I it'll be hard to land on one, but it's gonna be Chaplin for sure. It's oh man, I love all of it, but it would be either City Lights or The Kid, because I think the first film I purchased was City Lights. And I get teary in that film, but I laugh really hard in it. And I think he is an absolute genius. So for me, it would probably land with a Chaplin film.
Good choice.
I love him. And yeah, it's very, yeah, I find him just infinitely hilarious and then meaningful. And he always has this attitude where he's kind of winking at you, that he knows what he's doing and he knows that you know what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also the real depth to the film too. So I got to go Chaplin. And I'm really hoping I think it's The King of New York is his last like big film, but it doesn't have a Blu-ray release. And I'm really hoping the Criterion. I know they've already given us 8, but it'd be wonderful if they gave us 9.
Right. Come on now. Like, don't. Yeah. I feel like they would. It's either them or maybe Kino.
Yeah,
Something like that would put that out. But I would hope it would be Criterion, so that way
that'd be
they
perfect.
complete the cycle. right?
Absolutely. It'd be perfect. And I know it was banned in the US for a number of years when it was released. And it only had a UK release for a while. But yeah, it'd be great.
Well, you hear
So
us here, folks. Criterion, if you're listening right now, that's what we want.
because they for sure are. So
Hmm.
well, awesome, man. Thanks, Nathan. I always love talking to you, man. So this was a ton of fun for me. I'm really looking forward to doing this. So
Ditto. And I hope everyone enjoyed the choices, and I'd be curious to know what everyone else thinks down in the comment section. I would love to see what their answers are to this
absolutely.
fun one.
I assume videos coming on what you're gonna haul for the sale.
Yes, I'll do a quick flash.
There you go, folks. That's all you're getting.
7.
So, friends, check out Nathan's channel. It's an amazing channel, and I love your content, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you picked up.
Thank you, John. And once again, thanks for letting me join on this. And it's always great to just catch up and talk basketball and movies.
Good luck to your Pacers tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm about to go finish that game, see how what's going to get kicked. So
Good, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, have a good night, Nathan.
You too. Have a good one, and thanks everyone for watching. I'm not joking around.
There you go. Thank you. I was going to ask for that too.